We know that there is a correlation between gender equality and digital gender equality. However, what we are not completely clear about is the direction of that correlation and the quantum of that correlation. So we started to study this, and we started to look at different researches that have been done to understand how the two are interlinked. And interestingly, we came across a study, in fact, several studies, but one of them worth mentioning, which was published in the American Scientific Journal in 2018. That study looked at about 1.2 billion users of Facebook. And what the study found was that in the year 2015, if a particular country or territory had a lower gender gap on Facebook, the gender gap, the overall gender equality in the country improved the following year. However, the reverse was not found to be true. And therefore, the conclusion of that report was that gender equality is not just a contributor to, but also a product of digital gender equity, particularly at least in the case of this Facebook data. Having said that, digital gender gap in India stands at 50%, which means that women are 50% less likely to have access to internet and social media compared to men, depriving them of the benefits of information, knowledge, access to jobs, peer support, and lots more. Most traditional analysts have looked at this problem and said, the reason why there is a higher gender gap, specifically in developing countries, is because of social norms and gender norms that exist in the country, which then pervade across access to many different things, cell phones and internet being one of them. And that's completely true. But it would be interesting to look at the entire, root cause analysis as a pyramid, right? So at the bottom of the pyramid, which is the largest chunk, you have gender and social norms, which then translate themselves in the form of, gatekeeping by men, perceived risks of being on the internet, etc., etc. The next level is about the ability of women to use the internet. Now, the issue with that is that, first of all, most internet products and smartphones are now designed in a manner that's intuitive, and even a 2-year-old can use it. So I think it's slightly unfair for us to say that a fully grown woman can't use the internet when a 2-year-old can. She very much can, and I think we also have programs for digital literacy that are trying to address this barrier. But to us, it's a fairly small part of the problem. At the top of the pyramid, which is the smallest segment right now, but with the highest potential, is legitimate use cases. And what we've seen is that when there is a legitimate use case, the other barriers start to break down. And I'll give you an example. So we were doing this research in Bihar with nurses, government nurses, and we asked them, do you use WhatsApp? And they all said, yes, we use WhatsApp because we've got a nurses WhatsApp group and we share information there. We'll get a lot of educational material there. They start showing us their WhatsApp group, and it was fascinating. We then asked them, do you use other social media channels, and do you use internet in general? And they said no, because that's for entertainment. So it was very clear to us that the perceived use case was the guiding factor for whether they consider a platform to be legitimate or not legitimate, and whether their family would allow them to use a particular app or not use an app. So now researchers around the world are starting to show that when there is a legitimate use case, the other barriers for access to internet start to break down. So we started to wonder if more women on Facebook leads to greater gender equality, and if legit use cases help reduce barriers to access, why are more NGOs and donors not investing in it? Most of them have not even seen these researchers. And I think that's one of the critical issues in the development sector. When we do research, for example, on nutrition, we only look at very specific, narrow nutrition related data. We do not, for example, look at general market trends, FMCG, marketing trends, or FMCG sales trends, social media consumption trends, because the funding is extremely narrow. Second, researchers are not trained to think laterally. And it's not just a problem with the development sector. I can give you an example from the corporate world. If you think about the company Tesla, right, which makes electric vehicles, car analysts or automobile analysts look at it as a car company. AI analysts look at it as an AI company. Uh, Ride sharing analysts, like analysts who are looking at companies like Uber or Lyft, look at it as a ride sharing company and or a potential ride sharing company. So all of them are thinking from their very narrow lens and putting a certain valuation on that company. And when those lenses start to merge, you start seeing the kind of valuation that Tesla has received in the recent past, because then suddenly it all starts to make sense and you start seeing the value of a company like Tesla. And the same thing can happen in the development sector. If we were to look at the problem of nutrition or the problem of gender equality from these multiple lenses and start to combine those lenses, suddenly we'll see potential that we've never seen before. We'll see ideas emerge that we've never seen before. And why this is important is because you've got to think of social change as an arc, right? And there's a large arc of social change that is happening at any given point of time. This minute, this moment, there's some change happening somewhere which is leading to an overall social change. Um, and that change, that larger arc, is governed by a multiple smaller arcs that are happening at any point of time again. So it could be the arc of government policy, it could be the arc of a particular scheme, it could be the arc of what a particular organization is doing, or a particular new technology that's coming out. It could be the disruption being done in the telecom world by Geo, for example, and so on and so forth. So all these multiple smaller arcs are contributing to that larger arc of change. And if you're not understanding any of those smaller arcs, and how they contribute to the larger arc, we'll miss the picture. And to kind of encapsulate this thought process of lateral thinking, I want to give an example of a not of some big organization, not of what big company like Facebook or Jio or any of them are doing, but a simple woman from rural area. Her name is Savita. She's from Maharashtra, and a few years back she discovered Facebook and Facebook groups, and she was completely fascinated by the idea. And she said, "There's so much that's possible with this." So she didn't even have a smartphone. She borrowed a feature phone from her husband and started a community group of farmers. Later she got her own feature phone, and in 3 years she has 1 million farmers on that group. That's more than what most NGOs can claim. And those farmers are exchanging ideas. They're talking about how to deal with crisis. Like there was, a hailstorm that happened, and they all got together to discuss how they can, address the damage of crops that has taken place because of it. So it's a vibrant community with zero cost, created by a woman who didn't even have a smartphone. In fact, recently we tied up with one of the phone manufacturers to give her a smartphone, and she's actually started doing a lot more since she got that one basic device. And in contrast, we know of organizations that have spent millions of dollars to create similar programs and maybe have much better results, but not necessarily at the scale that she's been able to do it, at the cost at which she's been able to do it. And before we think about why she was so successful, I think it's important to understand what she did. What she did was create a disruption. And traditional development experts would have gravitated towards a evidenced concept, in this case, probably a self help group. And self help groups are great. I mean, there's evidence of how collectivism through self help groups creates empowerment and leads to greater gender equality for women. There's a lot of evidence around that. But here's the problem. Any self-help group has about 10 to 15 physical members at any given point of time. They're all from the same village, same level of education, same social norms, same attitudes, and therefore the discourse that occurs in any of those groups is limited to that worldview. Now, in the case of Savita or any such group which is based on technology, you can bring millions of women together from different parts of the state or even the country, and that completely changes their level of exposure, the kind of conversations they have, and it allows new ideas to blossom, new norms to thrive. And this is not possible without technology. And I think Savita understood that. She understood that she's stumbled upon something that's really unique, and she can create something that's much bigger than what she can do in the real physical world. So Abraham Lincoln had famously said, the best way to predict the future is to create it. And for all of us who are in the business of positively influencing or changing people's lives, the so-called change agents, it's not enough to predict the future. It's incumbent on us to create it. It's not enough to follow the arc. We have to get ahead of the arc. Otherwise, we are just catch-up agents. We are not really change agents. We need to think about disruption that's already happening. Think about what a woman like Savita could do all by herself, and not be constrained by past trends, past knowledge, and incremental shifts, because that's not how the world is moving today. It's moving exponentially. Again, I think one thing that COVID has done really well is show us what the power of exponential curves. And we need to understand that in the real world. We need to understand that in how technology is moving, and we need to be ahead of the curve in order to create programs that empower women, not slowly, not linearly, but exponentially and rapidly. The past is no longer prologue to the future.